Good morning and welcome to Simplifying Live episode number 293 with me, Shashank Nagam, your host and the CEO of Simplifying. What is it like to be on the world's longest flight? To be in the air for up to 19 hours at a time? 19. Non-stop. Well, Singapore Airlines has recently announced that they will be restarting the world's longest flight from Singapore to New York's Newark airport, which will be 17 and a half hours on one side and potentially up to 19 and a half hours on the other side, just because of the winds, headwinds, and tailwinds. They will be starting this flight in October, and it has only two cabins. It's a specially configured A350, a long-range airplane, in which there are only two cabins, the business class cabin and a premium economy cabin. There is no economy class. No economy class. How cool is that? How nice is that? Now, going back 10 years, I was living in Boston. And when I started my job back in July of 2007, I had to get to Boston from Singapore, where I was living. And the best way to get to Boston was not via Europe, but was actually to fly the Singapore Airlines non-stop flight to New York, at that time on an A340-500, and then connect on a continental flight to Boston, because at that time Continental and United had not merged, and Newark was a continental hub. That was the flight I took actually more than 10 times. Once I started working in Boston and started coming home to visit my parents in Singapore, back and forth. The first time I took that flight, I knew that this was completely something else. Firstly, it's all premium economy. It's a low density aircraft. You don't see a lot of people on board. There are not like 500 people trying to jostle for their bags, or 200 people trying to squeeze in stuff in the overhead bins. It's less than 100 people on the all business class flight that Singapore Airlines used to operate, and just over 100 people on this one with business class and economy class. That already makes it an exclusive experience. My first flight was actually on premium economy. I asked my boss for approval and I said, hey, there is no economy class on this flight. What do I do? You had approved economy tickets. He said, you can fly anything as long as it's not business, because that's what I can't approve. I said, sure, I will give premium economy a try. And being an aviation geek that I am, I absolutely loved the boarding process. It was not very chaotic at the boarding gate. Once everyone had boarded, the flight attendants, the Singapore girls, came out to greet everyone personally, kneel down to take their orders for food, made eye contact. It was already very personal, and it's easier to do when you don't have a lot of people on board. Moreover, you had such a long flight that in 19 hours you can sleep twice or watch 10 different movies and do everything 2 times over that you would do normally on on a shorter flight. So I did try to sleep for good stretches of 5 to 6 hours at a time, multiple times. There were lots of meals. I think we had 4 or 5 meals on board that flight. Something I distinctly remember is at the back of the plane, Singapore Airlines had a nice little mini bar with, wait for it, heated flooring. That's right, the bar at the back of the plane had heated carpeted area, and you could walk there in your socks and feel really warm and fuzzy. It was really nice. What was also interesting is because the passengers were captive for so long, if something went wrong, Singapore Airlines actually had someone to recover that situation right there and then. I flew that flight many times on premium economy, I think 5 or 6 times on premium economy, and 4 or 5 times on business class as well. And that experience was just as good. Personally, for me, at that time, 10 years ago, avoiding a stop was really worth it. And I'd land in Singapore early morning on those days. The new schedule lands in Singapore in the evening, but lands in New York early morning in Newark airport. So I think it will still work well. You take off from Singapore 11:30 p.m., land in Newark 6 a.m. After 20 hours of rest, you go ahead and take your day on in New York. So I'm pretty excited about this flight coming back the world's longest flight. And I've tried a few of these from Bangkok to New York, Bangkok to Los Angeles, which used to be some of the longest. I've tried Dubai to Seattle, as well as a few other really long haul flights. Singapore to Los Angeles, that was nice. But this is one that I'm really excited about coming back from both a customer experience perspective. I think with the A350 being a brand new aircraft, combine that with Singapore Airlines and the stellar service the Singapore Girl has, I think we are in for some really good times on this 17 to 19 hour flight. Can't wait for it to start, can't wait to fly this plane, this flight once again. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've been on really long haul flights over 17 hours, how your experience was, and would you do it again? Let me know what you think on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Meanwhile, you guys have a fantastic day, and I will catch you tomorrow, 1 p.m. GMT or 9 a.m. Eastern. Till then, have a great one. Bye-bye.